challenging to build user interfaces for applications that crawl all this data and have to make sense out of this big mess of incredibly rich data. But before I start, I want to show you something. A website that went online yesterday. This is the result of the search page of the new website of the Dutch National Library, where they put online a archive of Dutch newspapers dating back 12 years. The archive starts in 1604, but which is an incredibly feat in the first place, right? It is an amazingly rich data source, and all this data is freely available. But they got the attention of the news because they also put online the newspapers from the Second World War, and they also put online the newspapers from the Resistance, but also the pro-Nazi newspapers. So when I searched here, I searched for Verboden voor Joden, forbidden for Jews. I got this result page. It's quite typical. I clicked on one of these. I clicked on this one here, the missed one, and what I got is this notice. It's basically a disclaimer saying that I should be aware that there's pro-Nazi content that's actually illegal to publish according to Dutch law at this moment, and that I should be aware of this, and that it can contain all kinds of illegal stuff, and that if I republish this in a different content for different purposes, I could actually be committing a crime myself. And that all the copyrights are still belonging to the Dutch state, and I can only continue if I declare that I'm aware of all these facts. So the question is this still open data? And if it isn't, should it be? Right? So the discussion in the newspaper was about the fact that the Dutch National Library wanted to publish this, but that they got an advice not to publish this from the Dutch Ministry of Justice. And they did publish it with this notice against this advice, saying, okay, if somebody is going to sue us for this, then we see them in court and we let a judge decide who's right and who's wrong. But we're still going to publish this. So, just while I do my talk, think about this. What's your opinion about this? Is it a good thing that they publish this? Not? Are these restrictions fair or not? Or are they overly restrictive, or are they still too liberal? And because this, I can republish this for the sake of like informative berichtgeving, messaging, right? So that's still a vague, pretty liberal thing. So yeah, think about it. So now the talk. I've been doing computer science research in this application domain for quite some time now, and when I compare the situation like 10 years ago in the Dutch museum and library world with the world that's in now, it has completely changed, and the attitude against open data has completely changed. So this whole community is really aware of the problem that the data wasn't open and that it should be open, and they're really struggling with this. And this newspaper website is just one of the many examples in this area. So the whole talk is built around two metaphors. One metaphor is the wall. The wall, of course, is the symbol of things that are closed off. What we see in this particular domain is that all these Dutch museums now have a website. These websites are going to be constantly improving the website. Many of the larger museums have their complete collection or parts of their collection online published on their website. So that's all very nice, but the problem is that all these databases are completely isolated from one another. And you can only access the database through the interface of the website. So if for your research purposes, for instance, the website is not offering sufficient services, you are stuck. And it's very, very difficult to search across multiple museum or library databases at the same time. And that's because of syntactic problems. These systems don't interoperate, but also semantic problems. So the different libraries use different terms for the same thing. They use the same term for different things, and that's also making it very hard to make interoperable applications in the area. So this is the typical picture of the wall, right? This is the Berlin Wall. One of the nice things about this picture is that everybody feels that it is evil, and that the walls should be tumbled down. What's also nice about this is that when I visited this place, I think in 86, 87, like it was like 2 years before the wall came down, it seemed completely unbelievable that it would be gone in 2 years. So in that day, everybody felt, okay, we're in the middle of the Cold War, this wall will be there forever. And that's, for a lot of people in the cultural heritage, still the case, right? So they are so used to the limitations of their software, they think, okay, these walls will be there forever. And it's just wishful thinking to think that we can open up this and make it freely accessible to everyone. So the message here is, sooner or later, every wall comes down. This is a very nice bridge, which is in the neighborhood of the wall. This picture is taken very closely to the site where the Berlin Wall used to be. And of course, this bridge is much older, right? And it's still there. So bridges tend to live much longer than walls do, because people like bridges. And so this is a bridge between two departments, two different buildings, probably of the same organization. And people working in this building, they have to frequently visit people in the building. And this bridge just let them communicate and visit each other very conveniently. So they will, if this bridge deteriorates, they will spend effort to keep it in place instead of breaking it apart. And if you think this is very old-fashioned, we also have newer, more modern bridges which actually serve the same purpose. So bridges, people like bridges and people hate walls. And for this particular domain, it also makes their collections more valuable. Right? So this newspaper collection, the newspaper archive from the Dutch National Library, they have treasured this newspaper for 400 years. They've been locked up in climate control areas. Very, very few people had access to it. But now lots of people have access to it. And in my opinion, this collection has become more valuable because it is opened up. Also, if people can do cross-collection search, it makes individual collections more useful. So if you're a researcher, we had this big research project into the works of Rembrandt in the last decades. If you now want to research the works of Rembrandt, you have to go to all these different archives and museums separately, because there's no way to cross-search across their collection management systems. And what's also is happening that there are many implicit and explicit relations between the objects within the museum, but also between objects across museums. And making these links, these relationships explicit is also very hard. So for example, there are famous vases that are in the Rijksmuseum collection that are depicted on paintings in a different museum. And making these links requires the data to be open enough to describe these links. Finally, what you see happening is that museums realize that their own websites are limited, and they think, okay, if we open up our data, maybe third parties can create different interfaces to access our content in ways that we never had thought of. One of the things, for instance, that the Rijksmuseum is doing, they publish themselves this Rijksmuseum widget, which is a widget you can put on your desktop, and it just puts up a nice image of one of their top paintings every day. Right, so this is a completely different interface than the website is offering. And for most of the museums, it's too expensive to develop an application like that themselves. But if you open up your data, other people can do so for you. And finally, for most of these institutions, the state museums, the national archives, national libraries, they are all paid with our tax money, right? So to some extent, this is our data. So we have the right to be able to access it. And if you talk to these people on the direction level, and believe me, I did frequently. I've spent many hours begging museum directors and library directors to get access to the data. They all agree with you. So they say, yeah, of course, that's our mission. Right? We have to open up our data. We have to bring it to the public. If you want our data, fine, go ahead. But if you then trickle down into the organization, there are all kinds of walls. And I've had, in my research, talked to directors and got permission to access the data on day one of the project, and it took me about a year to actually get hold of the DVD with the physical data on it. So what's the problem there? And there are lots of technical problems here. So most of the museums, they use a collection management system that's very hard, makes it very hard to export data the way they want it. This is changing now, so the main player in the Dutch market for museums is a software company called Adlib. And they are opening up their data now, they provide web APIs, so they're changing, but for a long time this has been an extremely